Alright, so apparently I have been chosen as the designated know-it-all for edTPA. As you know, I finished all my filming, finished the pre-post assessment and learning games. All I'm doing right now is just writing up the final paper stuff. So I'll give a brief rundown onto my thoughts for what we have to do for edTPA tasks 1, 2, 3. And because there are different requirements for the different endorsements, make sure to double check what I'm saying compared to yours, because math is different from language arts, which is different from social studies, etc., etc. So, starting with task 1. Task 1 is your planning phase. You're going to write 3 to 5 lesson plans using the format that Concordia has given us that we practiced in Paula's class. It's not that hard. Just figure out what you're going to do, and the best part is you can change it. Like, I know in mine, I forgot to cover some vocabulary stuff. I'm just going to take that out. edTPA doesn't need to know. They don't really care if you have it or not. So teach it as best you can for what you have written down in your lesson plan. Try to cover as much as you can. But if you haven't, like if you missed something, it's perfectly fine to change your lesson plans after the fact. Try and BS as much as you can about the different ways that you differentiated, because Matt did an awful job at teaching us that. All you really have to do is just like 1 or 2 sentences of, I have 2 students with 504s that require extra time taken on tests. Knowing this, when I was giving example problems, I made sure to give the entire class more time than they actually needed to finish, just so those few students wouldn't feel as rushed and would be able to get the full benefit of the exercise, kind of thing. Stuff like that is pretty intuitive on what to say. All in all, it's really not all that bad. Looking over task 1, the first main thing that you're going to be wanting to write about is your central focus, or your overall unit plan, I guess. In that you are going to, this is just essentially your entire goal for the whole unit. So my central focus is teaching students how to properly identify and derive linear equations given limited information. Something like that. Then you have to go on and say, in lesson 1, I demonstrate this by doing blah, blah, blah. Lesson 2, I demonstrate it by doing blah, blah, blah. And then you essentially, in the second part, so 1A is the central focus, 1B is the essentially reiterating it, but for each lesson you talk about conceptual understanding, procedural fluency. Well, this is for math, so keep that in mind. And one other thing, but you just essentially like, they learn how to do this, so that corresponds to conceptual fluency, and then procedural stuff over here, here, and here. And it's just rehashing the same thing over and over, trying to use fancy language for it all. It also is like, how do you know your students, and how did you show that you know your students while doing your planning and whatever. So stuff like that is very, again, it's a lot of BSing everything. Besides that, let me see what else. Language demands, that's, your regular vocabulary stuff. How you supported that. I don't know what everyone's class demographics are. At mine, everyone is essentially white with a middle to upper class background, so it's not that difficult. Sorry for if you have something a bit more difficult. They want to know, like, the prior academic learning This you'll be able to give information from this by using your pre-assessment and your general observations. Mostly the pre-assessment though, I put something along the lines of given the scores of my pre-assessment, which were very low, which is good, I can resume my instruction under the assumption that there is no prior knowledge to the material that will be taught, kind of thing. From there, I'll be able to, show learning gains in task 3 and other things. So that's pretty much task 1. So like I said, just write your 3 to 5 lesson plans, teach them, then go back and change them. Like, your teachers aren't going to be looking at this, so they're not going to be like, hey, that's different. And task stream, you're uploading the final project, so again, you're not going to have people noticing the differences in what you were talking about. But yeah, task 1's pretty easy. They're all pretty easy. It's just knowing what to do, what not to do. So yeah. Alright, now on to task 2. This is the instruction commentary, and you'll actually have to film yourself doing this. The best bet to do for this is to film for one period all your lessons, and just pick the period that has the most permission slips turned in. That way it's easy. And again, though, I mean, not to be like shitting on edTPA or anything, but they're not really going to know which students turned in permission slips and which ones didn't, nor the parents, because we're not publishing these videos online. So if you have 1 or 2 students that didn't turn it in, you can either move them to the back of the class or just ignore it. Like I said, they're not really going to know. Besides that, yeah, it's a lot of setting yourself up to succeed in this. You'll obviously be doing your regular teaching, and you'll have, I know for math, it's 2 video clips that total 15 minutes. Others, it's 20 minutes. So try and compact as much of the stuff you need ahead of time. Read over the instructions beforehand so that you can oh, this is a perfect opportunity. I'm just gonna blah, 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 do all my crap here, and that will be my video clip, and I won't have to worry about anything else. I didn't, but I managed to find 2 video clips that work. So you'll want to, so the first one, you'll want to show how you promote a positive learning environment. So, be able to chit-chat with your students. And if you can get all of them to raise their hands, look at that, envoy technique. If you can get them all to raise their hands to answer questions, boom, that is a positive learning environment. They want to participate. They want to have their voices heard. They know the answers. They're confident in themselves. Boom. There's your answer to the first prompt. The next one, how you engage the student learning. Well, okay, they really want to learn. What are you going to give them to demonstrate that? How are they going to, oh, sure, they can, raise their hand. Everyone can do that, but is there going to be a project that they're going to do? Are they going to have some sort of activity where they can engage themselves to learn? So that is the crux of it. You're going to want to show how they understand and how they know the procedures and everything and what they should do for that. After that, it's how are you going to build a deeper understanding on the education? How are you going to analyze your own teaching and what you would do differently, how you would do it, why do you think it would improve the student learning? I haven't completed this section yet. I was going to do that today or Wednesday or whatever. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just reading. I have it pulled up in the background. I'm just checking it out. Oh yeah, and use your the theorist stuff. Yeah, I guess that's important, especially for the interviews. For edTPA though, I think they're just looking for evidence of it, but yeah, I bullshitted some. Oh, based off Robert Marzano's theory of non-vocal interactions with students, I use that in conjunction with this and blah, blah, blah. And so, that's how I'm using principal theories to influence my teaching. But yeah, so being able to realize where you're at with your lesson and try and get those couple of key points is the most important part. And you can always go back and refilm some stuff, though in the practicality of everything, it's not going to happen. Just because, well, that's going to eat up your teacher's time, and they're not going to like that, and the students are going to miss out on some learning, so they're not going to like that. Yeah, so try and get it all done as fast as you can, not as fast as you can, as accurately as you can, and go from there, really. So that's pretty much it from task 2. Oh, if you can, try and make friends with the tech guy at your school. He's right across the hall from me, and he let me borrow a nice camera for my filming, so I didn't have to hold up my iPad or anything, which was actually pretty nice. The files were gigantic. They were like 4 gigs each in like 16-minute clips, because that's however it filmed an hour. It broke it up into 4 16-minute pieces, and each of those pieces were like 4 gigs each, so just be aware of that. Oh, and if there's a microphone, remember to turn it on, because I did it, so I wasted an entire day because there's no audio available for that day. So, yeah, that's task 2. Not too difficult, just being able to plan it so it works out perfectly. Okay, task 3, the assessment, Mark's class. So you're going to need to do a pre-assessment at some point. You can do it as far in advance as you like. Again, a lot of what I'm telling you is essentially edTPA does not know what you are doing. They only know what you give them. So you could have given the pre-assessment the very first day of school. And like, hey, this is my pre-assessment for some stuff you're not going to learn until 3 months from now. Have at it. And they're all going to fail. I mean, there'll be the couple ones I'm guessing get the problem right, but like my averages for my pre-assessment was 23%. So that is really bad, which is great because it's not graded. You tell the students, hey, this is a pre-assessment. I'm just trying to get an idea of where you're at. So if you don't know an answer, go ahead and skip it. I'd like you to try your hardest because this will, if everyone knows one concept, then we don't have to spend that much time on it and you get that much more information. And unless your students are truly a bunch of shitheads or something, they'll take it seriously. Or if you don't trust your kids at all, pop quiz, here you go. And it doesn't even have to be like a quiz or test. It can be, here's a warm-up. It's a separate piece of paper. You're going to turn it in afterwards. Boom. Done. So pre-assessment's it's just a general, I need to know where you're at kind of thing. And then your post-assessment, you can always pose it as a unit test. That can also be a warm-up. Again, edTPA does not know what you're doing. You can tell them, hey, you know what, my pre-assessment was a field trip, and then my post-assessment, we went to the moon, and there's learning gains. And they'll be like, all right, you have the grasp, congratulations. So, I mean, be smart with it, but it doesn't have to be formal. All right, get your Scantron, fill out the form, and blah, blah, blah. There's a spreadsheet on that Concordia Student Teaching website. It's a blank form that you can fill in with all your student information. I did that, and then I uploaded it to Google Sheets on Google Drive. The reason why I did that is because the pivot tables are way easier to use in Google Sheets than they are in Excel. I don't know about Apple numbers or whatever, but I'm assuming that's crap. If you need help with pivot tables, first time using, I'm going to try and post like a link here. I'll make another video of trying to do a screen capture with pivot tables so I can show you how I made my graphs. Once you watch the video and once you enter all the information in, it's really not that hard to do. It's just a matter of dragging the stuff where you want it to go. But yeah, so make the pre-assessment as hard as you want because it'll just make you look that much better. And then make the post-assessment like a regular test. And unless you're doing a truly awful job at teaching, your kids are going to learn something. So that's just something to keep in mind. Next, you're going to want to pick your focus students. You're going to pick 3 students, because that's the easiest, and try and make them as different, like a male, 504, African American, a female, traditional, white, and then Asian male tag student, or something like that, whatever. Just make sure they're kind of different and all over the board. And you're going to do a separate learning gains for them. You are going to collect work samples. For me, it was easy. I made worksheets. I have those worksheets. I'm going to use those worksheets to show that they learned something. And then you have to provide feedback. Now, you can take the worksheets and write, you did a good job here. Make sure to remember to carry the X or whatever. Scan it and then throw it directly into the trash can because, again, edTPA is not going to know that you gave it to them or that the students even heard what you said. You do have the option, if you'd like, to have a third, I believe it's 3-minute video clip of you providing feedback to your focus students. I think I'm going to go with that. I'm not sure. I'll probably just do the writing thing because it's easier. But yeah, like just show that you tried to identify where they went wrong and how they can improve, how your feedback addresses their strengths and where they need to work on stuff a little bit. And it was great for me. So what I did is I sorted learning gains from low to high, and I picked the 3 highest learning gains. So these 3 students, they all got 0s or close to it on the pre-assessment, and they got like a B- or whatever on the post-assessment. And that's, like 80, 77, 80% learning gains. It's fantastic. It makes me look great. So you'll do that. And yeah, you'll provide the feedback for them. And make graphs for those specific students and just like the same thing. Honestly, it's just like Mark's learning gains. As long as you can show, oh, here's my gains versus race, gains versus gender, gains versus learning style kind of thing, then you can prove that you had learning gains. So again, it's really not that bad. Evidence of language understanding. Now, this one's tricky because, especially for math, you're not going to have students be like, I am now using the commutative property to solve this problem, and you're never going to get that on video because they're never going to say it. But what you can do, and one of my teacher friends told me this when he did his work sample, that they had to do the same thing, is, oh, it's vocabulary day. You raise your hand and tell me the definition of parallel lines, and they'll be like, oh, no, you have to say parallel lines are, and then parallel lines are two lines that never touch. Boom, there's your language understanding. It's like gaming the system, but the whole thing is bullshit anyway, so who cares? So you have 3 options for that. You can provide a timestamp from your video or your task 2 video to be like, see, they're saying the language here. You can do, I guess you could do another 5-minute video clip of students just doing their language crap. But, yeah. Or you can use the student work samples, and you can also totally game this by write the definition of parallel line, write the definition of perpendicular line, blah, 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 and then, hey, they're using the language here, and then there you go. Like I said, all this is totally gaming the system, and if you don't get all 3 or something, I'll be disappointed in you. The last part is called how you're going to use assessment to inform your instruction, and this will be based off my analysis of my pre-assessment. I will need to focus more here, here, and here. And you can either use the whole class pre-assessment, or your 3 focus students, or other individuals like, oh, this kid is like really stupid, I'll need to focus here, or give him some individual attention. But really it's like, it's kind of like, yeah, just how you're going to, based off your pre and post assessment, how would you reteach it? So, I feel like I keep repeating myself, but gaming the system, the whole edTPA thing is kind of stupid. And honestly, try to get your edTPA stuff done as soon as you can, because, I mean, I'm lazy and I'm taking a long time to do it, but still, 3 weeks or whatever is not, you'll feel rushed for sure. And coming up with the different language to write your edTPA and not to have, like if I had my way, I'd be like, there's learning gains because the students learned, as you can see from the graphs. Voila. So, yeah. It's up to you. So, that's what I have for my edTPA. I hope this helped some of you. I'm always open to questions, so feel free to come up to me in class and be like, Colin, you're a genius, I love you. Or, you're a fucking retard, why'd you say that? So, yeah. Besides that, hope practicum and classes are going well for you, and I'll know you kick butt. Bye.